What happens when a single moment of cruelty spirals into a storm of consequences no one could foresee? In the quiet town of Willow Creek, where the streets hummed with routine and the air carried the scent of blooming Karen flowers, a single encounter shattered the fragile peace. Their vibrant red petals, a symbol of resilience, lined the sidewalks, but beneath their beauty lay a story of pride, pain, and bitter reckoning. My dad, Colonel James Whitaker, was a man of quiet strength. At 52, his broad shoulders still carried the weight of his army uniform with pride, though the creases around his eyes told of decades spent in service. He'd served 2 tours in Afghanistan, survived ambushes, and returned home to serve as a reservist, patrolling our small town as part of a community outreach program. The uniform wasn't just fabric to him, it was a testament to sacrifice, to the brothers in arms he'd lost, to the life he'd chosen. Every Saturday, he'd walk the streets, greeting kids, helping shopkeepers, and keeping the peace. The Karen flowers, named for their stubborn endurance in harsh summers, seemed to nod in respect as he passed. That morning, the sun blazed high, and the flowers glowed like embers. I was 17, trailing behind Dad, my camera slung around my neck for a school photography project. I wanted to capture the Karen blooms, their fiery hue a perfect subject. Dad, in his crisp uniform, was chatting with Mr. Larson, the hardware store owner, when she appeared. Karen Delaney. Everyone in Willow Creek knew her. Mid-40s, sharp-tongued, and always armed with a complaint. She was the kind of person who'd argue with a stop sign and win. Her blonde hair was pulled tight, her lips pursed in perpetual judgment. She owned the boutique across the street, where she sold overpriced scarves and a sense of superiority. Karen's eyes locked onto Dad's uniform like a hawk spotting prey. "Well, look at this," she said, her voice loud enough to turn heads. "Playing soldier in a town that doesn't need one? That uniform's a joke, James. Bet it's from a costume shop." Her laugh was sharp, slicing through the morning air. A few passers-by froze, their gazes darting between her and Dad. I saw Dad's jaw tighten, but he kept his tone calm. "Ma'am, I'm just doing my rounds. No need for trouble." His voice was steady, but I knew the hurt was there, buried deep. The uniform wasn't just his. It was a tribute to men like Private Daniels, who died in his arms overseas. Karen didn't know that. She didn't care. "Trouble?" she scoffed, stepping closer, her heels clicking on the pavement. "You're the one parading around like some war hero. This town's not your battlefield, Colonel." She spat the title like it was an insult. My hands shook as I gripped my camera. I wanted to yell, to tell her to shut up, but Dad's glance told me to stay quiet. The crowd grew, shoppers, kids, even old Mrs. Carter with her walker. The Karen flowers seemed to lean in, witnesses to the brewing storm. Then came the twist no one expected. A voice cut through the tension, soft but firm. "Excuse me, Karen, but you're out of line." It was Elias, the town's reclusive librarian, a wiry man in his 60s who rarely spoke above a whisper. Nobody knew much about him, kept to himself, always buried in books. But there he was, stepping forward, his glasses glinting in the sun. "That uniform represents more than you'll ever understand. You owe this man an apology." Karen's face twisted in disbelief. "You? Stay out of this, bookworm." But Elias didn't flinch. He pushed up his sleeves, revealing a faded tattoo on his Ferrarma Marine Corps emblem. The crowd gasped. Elias, the quiet librarian, was a veteran? Whispers rippled through the onlookers. Karen's confidence faltered, but she doubled down. "Oh great, another wannabe hero. You're all pathetic." That was her mistake. Dad's radio crackled, and Officer Ramirez, who'd been patrolling nearby, stepped into the scene. "Ma'am, I heard enough," he said, his voice firm. "Verbal harassment of a service member in uniform is a serious offense in this state." Karen's eyes widened, but she didn't back down, hurling insults at Ramirez too. The crowd was silent now, the air thick with tension. The Karen flowers, vibrant and unyielding, stood as sentinels to her downfall. Ramirez took her statement, and within days, the incident was all over town. Karen's outburst wasn't just a social misstep, it was illegal. Willow Creek's local laws, strict about public conduct, especially toward veterans, meant she faced a $3,000 fine for verbal harassment. The news spread like wildfire, and her boutique's business plummeted. Customers stopped coming, repelled by her cruelty. Karen, once the queen of complaints, was now the town pariah. But the story didn't end with her fine. Dad, ever the stoic, didn't gloat. He went back to his patrols, head high, though I could see the weight of that day in his quieter moments. I thought the worst was over, that justice had been served. I was wrong. A month later, I was sorting through my photos for the school project. Among the shots of Karen Flowers, I found one I hadn't noticed: a candid of Elias, standing by the library, his tattoo barely visible. Curious, I asked Dad about him. His face softened, and he told me the truth. Elias wasn't just a librarian. He'd been a POW in Vietnam, captured at 19, enduring years of torture before escaping. He'd settled in Willow Creek to escape his past, choosing silence over stories. That day, Karen's words had struck a nerve, pulling him out of his shell to defend Dad. I tracked Elias down at the library, hoping to thank him. He was shelving books, his hands steady but his eyes distant. "Didn't do it for thanks," he said when I brought it up. "Did it because some things can't be let go." He paused, then added, "Your dad's a good man. He carries the same ghosts I do." I left, my chest tight with a mix of gratitude and sorrow. The Karen Flowers outside the library glowed in the dusk, their resilience a mirror to men like Elias and Dad. But the real twist, the one that broke my heart, came weeks later. Karen, humiliated and desperate, tried to salvage her reputation. She posted an apology online, claiming she'd been misunderstood. Nobody bought it. Her boutique closed, and she left town quietly, her name a cautionary tale. I thought that was the end, until I overheard Dad talking to Mom one night. Karen's son, a soldier stationed overseas, had been injured in combat. She'd lashed out that day because she'd just gotten the news, her fear and pain twisting into venom. Dad, instead of anger, felt pity. "She was hurting," he said. "Doesn't excuse it, but I get it." Couldn't believe it. The woman who'd mocked my dad, who'd humiliated him in front of the town, was a mother terrified for her child. The Karen Flowers, so bold and defiant, suddenly seemed fragile, their beauty masking their own struggle to survive. I wanted to hate her, but Dad's words echoed in my mind. He'd seen worse than Karen's insults: war, loss, death, and yet he chose compassion. I wasn't sure I could do the same. The fine was paid, the town moved on, but the bitterness lingered. Not in Dad, not in Elias, but in me. I looked at the Karen Flowers differently now. They weren't just symbols of endurance. They were reminders that even the strongest can break, that cruelty often hides pain, and that forgiveness is heavier than justice. Dad still patrols, Elias still shelves books, and the flowers still bloom. But the memory of that day, sharp and stinging, never fades. ND.